Jake from Two Pitch Floating here, bringing you a Blitz deck tech for Valda Brightaxe. So I held a poll on Discord and Twitter about which deck tech you guys wanted to see, and most of you voted for Valda. Which makes sense because skirmish season is right around the corner, and you guys, trying to, figure out what to play. And Valda is a very niche hero. I believe I'm one of the few people in Arizona to play her, if not the only one. But she's a very fun deck, and so just a really quick side story here. The whole reason why I even play Valda is because last year, right before skirmish season, I had no idea what deck to play, and I'm taking a shower and shower thoughts, and I have an epiphany, and I say, it's better than 20, 21. And Valda does indeed have 21 health, and that is literally the only reason why I picked up the deck and made the deck. And it was actually the night before skirmish. I literally haven't played it once, took it to the skirmish, and top 8'd with it. And then got another top 8. So Valda has done me well, got me 2 top 8s during skirmish season. She's a lot of fun to play. She's probably my favorite deck to play in Blitz. So yeah, let's jump right in. So for those of you that don't know what Valda does, she has a passive hero ability that says whenever an opponent draws a card during an action phase, create a Seismic Surge token for each card drawn this way. So if your opponent plays, Tome of Aetherwind, Tome of Fendel, Gorganian Tome, Art of War, any draw card, you make a Surge, which is very important. For the next part of her hero ability that says at the start of your turn, if you control 3 or more Seismic Surge tokens, cards you own with Crush gain Dominate. So yeah, pretty powerful keywords there. Cards with Crush gain Dominate, and you only have to have 3 surges, which is not very hard to do, especially in this deck. So we'll go over the equipment real fast. We're running Anathos, pretty basic, basically a 4 for 6 basically, but we're pitching a lot of cards, especially with Blessing of Deliverance. We're running 6 of them, just because it draws us a card, makes a surge, and then we're already at 21 health, so why not gain more life, right? And we don't really have too many misses in our deck that will not gain us life, so for the most part, you're always gaining life off this, which is pretty cool. And then we have Crater Fist, just there because it blocks 3. And then we're running Earthlord Bounty. This is her most important piece of the equipment. This is one of the only pieces of equipment that we do not ever change out. So it says, whenever you draw a card from effect of an action card, create a Seismic Surge token for each card drawn this way. So anytime we play Blessing, we make a Surge. Anytime we play This Round's on Me, we're going to make 2 Surges because we draw a card and your opponent draws a card. One from Earthlord Bounty, one from Valda. So, yep, we never take that out. The only down part about this is it does have Temper on it. So technically it blocks 3, but you never really want to give that last block unless you absolutely have to, especially if you still have cards in your deck that will draw you cards. And then we're running Mage Master Boots. That pairs really well with some combo cards in our deck. And then we're running Helms of Eisenpeak. Blocks 1, but it does give us an extra intellect, which also pairs well in our combo turns. So Valda herself is pretty much a pretty big setup deck. So she's going to have turns where she sets up and then claps back while blocking really well because she does have the surges, and she is able to play them at discounted cost, especially if you have a really big setup turn the turn before. And she is a deck that definitely likes to carry momentum throughout the game. So she does setup, has an off turn, right? I have an off turn setting up. Your opponent comes back at you, but if you have 3 or more surges, you're able to kind of block really well. And then if you play like a Blessing into like a This Round's Me or like a Tome and make surges or heave something, for example, and you're just able to carry. If you constantly have like 3 surges or more, you're basically just kind of just carrying that momentum off, right? So yeah, we're running 6 Blessings. We already talked about that. I'm running Red Crush Confidence just because it's basically a 0 for 7. Turns off the hero ability, like Benji, for example, makes you able to block if you have to. Yep, pretty good card. We're running Red Disabled, basically a 2 for 9 if you have the 3 or more surges, but sometimes you can just play this for free, and it has Dominate. And most of the time, cards in Arsenal, they go to the bottom, so they're no longer going to have a 5-card hand, and they're going to be threatening 9 damage, which is pretty good. And then this is my personal tech card for this deck. It's Fire Breathing, so it's instant, pay 1 Fire Breathing, gains +1 attack, activate this ability only while Fire Breathing is attacking. So We're playing Guardian. We're running a lot of blues, so this is a very good card, either late game or early game. Early game, they're not going to want to block this. They'll maybe throw one card in front of it, but if you have cards in hand that you don't, that you're not going to do anything else with unless you're going to heave or something, you just kind of throw all your, pump this up and make it 10 or whatever. Now all of a sudden they're taking a bunch of damage. And then late game, same thing. Now they're a little more scared because, especially if you have, 3 cards in hand, you play this from Arsenal or whatever. Now they have to overblock it, and maybe you just don't even pump it. You just keep the cards in your hand, right? We're running 2 pulverizes. Yeah. So sometimes you can just play this at a pretty good discount. Not very hard to play in this deck. 14. Who doesn't like throwing a 14 at them? It does not have crush though, so it doesn't get dominate. But the keyword it has is heave to make surges. Which is very important. So we play a couple more heave cards that we'll talk about here in a moment. But yep, we're making surges with that. Spinal Crush, another good crush card that will gain dominate. Good against a lot of decks. And we're also running 2 red Thunderquakes and 2 blue Thunderquakes. Just again because they're good cards. They come in for a lot of damage. They block 3 and they have the heave mechanic on them. So we want to be making surges. And we're playing Righteous Cleansing. Again, another good crush card that we can play at a discount. And then basically this one's pretty good because it gains the dominate if it hits. It's kind of harder for decks to block, they need to block 7. So I guess it's actually not that hard, but still 10's a lot of damage. And then, if it does crush, you get to look at your opponent's next hand basically, so you know if they're bluffing or not, if they're going to have a really good turn or not, right? We're playing 1 copy of Tome of Fendel, so this is, for the most part, our Mage Master Boots target. So we want to be looking out for that Tome of Fendel. We want to make sure we arsenal that, pop Mage Masters, gain some life, draw some cards, make some surges, and then pop off from there. Blue Cranial Crush, we're pretty much never playing this, just because it says they can't draw cards if it crushes. We want our opponent to draw cards for the most part. We're perfectly fine with that. But yeah, so it turns on the hammer, blocks 3. I have 1 copy of Embolden here, just the 1 copy of blue, just because for the most part we're not really looking to play this. It's just if it lines up with a Blessing of Deliverance, then we're looking to play this. And if you have a Blessing and then you play this in play, you draw a card, so it makes a surge, and then it gives +3, a little extra. If you can dominate something, give it +3. Now it makes the crush effects a little more harder to block, right? But just the 1 copy, just because it is so expensive. And then I have Imposing Visage. This is the one that lets you search aura card from your deck. For the most part, we're always looking for Blessing of Deliverance with this. Unless we already have a Blessing of Deliverance and you still have that 1 copy of Embolden in your deck, I can make an argument to search for that. But again, it's pretty expensive. We run Last Ditch Effort just because it turns on the hammer, blocks 3. If you need the late game situation, I just like it, just in case, right? And then we're running Blue Mache Grande. Does not have Crush on it, but it has Dominate keyword, so good to close out games. Another way to dominate something, especially if you kind of have a weaker turn and you're not able to make surges. This is just another dominate attack, right? And then we're running Potion of Luck. Potion of Luck is awesome. It's one of my favorite cards in this deck just because we do play it. And so, like, a line, for example, you could do, if we still have Mage Master Boots up, you could pop Mage Master Boots, play Potion of Luck, and then activate Helm of Eisen's Peak to gain an extra intellect. And then if we have like a Thunderquake or Pulverize in hand, you can heave it. And then on your opponent's turn, if they have a really weak turn or your hand's not really that good, we pop Potion of Luck, we get rid of our arsenal, we get rid of our 5-card hand, we draw 6 cards, and now we make 6 surges. And now if we draw into something like Spinal Crush, for example, we get to play that for free. And now we can block, right? So that's pretty good. We like doing that. And then just a quick side note, just because Potion of Luck is an action card, it triggers off Earthlore Bounty. Just because the effect is an instant, it is still an action card, so it still works. And then we have Blue Sift, just there to make surges. It's a blue block 3 as well. Terra Sunder is there just in case we cannot, again, just like Macho Grande, another way to gain dominate and a way to make disruption. And it's a good way to bait out armor early too. So like if you do this on the hammer, most likely you're going to get some armor. So that's a good way to get rid of some armor. And then Also, you can just add on top of this onto something free, like, you know, Righteous Cleansing, for example. It's going to be double dominate, but now you have the crush effect and discard 2 cards on hit, right? So it's, you know, double dipping a little bit. Probably don't want to do that for the most part, but just if it comes up, it's okay to do. Then we're playing this round's on me, just because everyone draws a card. I'm going to make 2 surges off this. We're only really looking to play this if we're in a pretty good spot, just because giving your opponent an extra card is not the best idea. But if you play this on turn 0 and you are going first, it's pretty good, because most chances are they're going to block. We already get 2 surges. Everything's -1 to us. They're going to probably block, and now, you know, that extra card they just got kind of goes to waste, right? So yeah. And then we're running blue unmovable. I decided instead of staunch response to put blue unmovable, just because it turns on the hammer if we have to, you know, a tool to block. And then the sideboard, we have Titan's Fist, as well as Steel Braid Buckler. So if we're going against a deck that we know we're going to need a little more armor block against, I would suggest going Titan's Fist and this. And then our other offhand equipment is Arcane Lantern, really only for Wizard or Rune Blade. So like Viscerai, for example, we can go Titan's Fist and Arcane Lantern. Or you can swap out the boots, right? But we want Mage Master boots, especially because we have the Tome and the Potion of Luck in our deck. And then we have the 3 pieces of Null Rune, pretty much only throwing those in for Wizard. Again, we don't have another chest piece. We're pretty much always running Earthlore Bounty. It's our best equipment. It's what we want to do. We want to be drawing cards. We want to be going through our deck pretty fast. So yeah, that's Valda Brightaxe in a nutshell. One point to mention is I do not have any pummels in this deck at the moment. I played versions that have pummels, and does it feel good to play a Pulverize for free and pummel it? Absolutely, it does. Especially in Blitz, especially if you're playing against Benji, that's their whole health, right? But I took the pummels out just because I was having an issue of having like too many reds in my hand, and they were sometimes a little clunky, because if you can't basically play something for free, the pummel is just kind of like a dead card for the most part. But if I were to take 2 cards out for 2 red pummels, I'd probably take out the Embolden and the Fire Breathing maybe. So you guys could do that if you wanted to, or there's argument to even take out the Last Ditch Efforts for them and keep the Fire Breathing and Embolden, because Fire Breathing you can also pummel, which is fun. But yeah, I don't think I have much else to say other than let me know what you thought of the deck tech, and thanks to everyone that voted in the poll on Discord. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you end up trying this deck on Talishar or in the skirmish season, and let me know how it goes. And then give me your thoughts about what you would change about the deck, and let me know if you liked it, if you didn't like it. But yeah, this has been Jake from 2 Pitch Floating, and catch you guys later.